Yeah. Hey, what's up guys? It's Inca 4x4 and thank you for joining me on this one. We're gonna do a couple projects. The Gladiator has 3 switches in the truck bed, in the cab, 2 in the cab, and we have from solar to dual battery, lithium. We have lithium battery, we have a fridge, all sorts of different lighting, things tied into the ignition. So that we're gonna do on the Wrangler, and we're gonna do on the Land Rover Discovery. So if you want, this video is gonna cover proper grounds, different gauges of wire, fusing, and the connections, proper connections. So if you want to learn about all that and see kind of how I have things on the Gladiator, stay tuned with us. To all my subscribers, I really appreciate you guys, and we have the panels for the garage. So this is gonna get closed up pretty soon. So let's get right into this video. Thank you so much. Hey guys, so I apologize for this being a longer video. I'm going to put a timestamp here of what's covered here. We're going to go through the Gladiator and all the different things that we have, and we're going to try to mimic those wiring, lighting things on the Land Rover Discovery. We're going to go through different tips about wiring, connecting, and all that stuff. So I hope this helps someone. Please share it with someone who's thinking about doing a project like this. Leave a comment. I really appreciate it. Stay to the end because I'm gonna post photos of my new rig. I haven't posted them yet, so new rig, new adventures. Thank you so much, and hope to see you on the trail soon. So I'm gonna try not to make this too long, and I'll just kind of show you what we have going on electrical wise with the Gladiator. So the Gladiator and the new JLs come with 4 auxiliary switches that are built in, and then I added an Auxbeam 8 switch here, and then there's another one back here. So here I have different lights, my fridge, my water pump. These are little camping lights. Highly recommend those Morimoto one bangers for camping lights. Here we have lights in the front, rock lights, and then I think these are set too. Oh yeah. So we have all sorts of different lights. Let me show you. We have a CB radio. Those are the ones up top are switched to. I can either do the 2 inner or the 2 outer. So, and then we have lights in here. We have a winch. We have the PA system that's actually really loud. It draws a lot of power. We have CB radio. So this Jeep has all the lighting that I need when I go off-roading. So it's pretty dialed in. And I'll just show you the dual battery thing that I have. So this is a 100 amp hour lithium battery. This is a 2500 watt inverter. This is like the brain behind it. It's a Renogy DC to DC MPPT charger. This does 2 functions. It serves as from the alternator to this auxiliary battery. It manages the battery here, and then it also ties in solar. So solar that comes in from the top will also trickle back to this and also my main battery. So That's really cool. And let's just kind of do a quick overview of what I mean by wires and stuff. So the alternator here, you'll have an alternator, and the vehicle, the newer ones, they'll have like a variable, or what they call like a smart alternator. That will come in, and the battery will have a ground and it'll have a positive. So this actually ties into this. The Jeeps come with an auxiliary battery that's underneath the wheel well, and so this will power get power to this. So when this is tied into your belt line, so this is belt line driven. The alternator supplies power, and that's how you have power to this battery. Now, whenever you put any kind of accessory, you basically just need to run a negative and a positive to your battery. Just a negative and positive. If they're connected, it's going to just turn on that light or whatever accessory. Now, you want to switch it. You be able to turn it on and off. And so they usually come with like little rocker switches. And the problem is you can easily create a rat's nest of things here when you have a ton of. Can you imagine a separate wire for this, for that light, for that light, for that light? Can you imagine all those wires coming through? Now, this is not the neatest, but at least it's like tucked away back there. But what helps out 100% with this is the switch pod. So like I was telling you, this is from Auxbeam, and they have nicer ones. Now, if you have the money to spend on like a Switch Pro, or I forget what the other one's called, I would recommend it, because this Bluetooth on this is a little finicky, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. The switches always work, and their customer service is pretty good. Like, I've had one go out on me, and they've sent me out a new one. So I think the price comparison is, I think the other ones are like over $1,000, and these are about like $250, $300. So I like, for the price, I can't complain with these. The other thing I'll tell you about is, you see here that we have fuses. These are all fuses here. This is a fuse. This is a fuse. There's all types of different fuses, but you definitely want to properly fuse the electrical thing that you're using, because you could potentially damage, cause a fire. You got to think, there's gasoline lines running through here. Things can overheat. You want to really be careful when you do this kind of stuff. But I don't want to scare you and tell you that it's super. You can't do it, because you'll be fine. And it's a good way to kind of get your hands on your engine, or like start feeling a little bit more comfortable doing stuff. So for instance, the dual battery setup that I have has the Renogy battery, and the instructions called for an 8-gauge wire. The wire sizes, the lower the number, like a 4, a 6, an 8, it's going to be thicker than say a 12 and 18 gauge wire. So the lower the number, the thicker the wire, and they call for an 8-gauge wire. So basically, the way that system's set up is, one of the steps is running a hotline directly from, like a positive line directly from the battery to that. So we're going to run a battery, but it also tells you to fuse it. This fuse here is a push fuse. So it's this one's 150 amp, but they come in all sorts of different. And what it does is, if the if it draws more power, it'll protect the battery, and just kind of like in your house, you have fuses, it'll do it like that. There's also fuses that like will break, the little connection will break, and then you'll just replace this fuse if it goes out. That's a little touch base on the fuses. And then the other thing I kind of want to tell that I see a lot, and I even see in shops that people do, is common ground. So for instance, if you see here, I have negatives that I don't have wired up. And the reason is your vehicle has a common ground. For instance, the Jeep, the chassis, this is a body on frame construction. A lot of the vehicles, Ford Runner, like a lot of the off-road vehicles are built like that. Or even if it's unibody, you'll have a common ground, and I'll show you what one kind of looks like. But basically, I don't need to run the red and black wire. The black wire, I don't need to run that all the way through here and into here, because there's a common ground on this chassis. So I can, the first place I can ground it, that's as long as the wire I need. So I just seen people run positive and negative wires when you don't need to run that negative wire all the way to the battery. And I'll show you what a ground kind of looks like. Let me show you underneath here. Let's get underneath the truck. So for instance, look at this. You see this wire here, this black wire, this is a ground. So they have this tire mount here that's bolted into the frame. The frame is the common ground. So you can use this as a common ground, so you don't have to keep running negative wires like all the way to the battery. So save you some wire and save you some headaches. And then the last thing we'll touch base on is all the vehicles have some kind of pass-through. On this Wrangler or Gladiator, the pass-through is like right there. And basically it just lets you feed it so you get into the cab of the Jeep, and you can't see it, but it's like up in there. So let's turn all these lights off. And for instance, I'll let you know, this Jeep's been sitting here for probably a week now, and the fridge has just been running nonstop. So 100, just kind of give you an idea, 100 amp lithium battery will last a long time. And then, so you also know about the different batteries. Just a quick overview about the batteries. There's different batteries. There's lithium, AGM, lead acid, and they all have different characteristics. And even lithium, there's two sets of lithium. There's a lithium, this lithium ion phosphate is the one that's the longer, has a longer life cycle. There's another type of lithium that I'll try to put the name here, that has a shorter lifespan. And yeah, so lithium batteries, they don't like heat. You would never put this inside an engine bay, but the nice thing is that they weigh a lot less, and then you can draw them down to closer to 0%. So say for instance I had the Jeep battery here, it was an AGM battery, and if you're only supposed to draw that down to 50%, around there I believe. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. And so if you have a 100 amp hour battery, but you can only draw it down to 50%, then you don't really have all that potential. So it's great. You need it. You need it for the vehicle because it's going to live inside the engine bay. And there's also some other benefits as far as cranking temperatures, and some are better for some are some are better for certain things. But if you're going to run accessories, I highly recommend lithium battery, and I highly recommend keeping it like inside your cab or in the back of your truck bed. And now a lot of them have like Bluetooth features where you can manage, like you could see the percentage and what's getting drawn. So I really like that. If you want me to do a future video, just leave in the comments. I can do a video on how I have this setup, because those are Harbor Freight panels, the DC MPPT charger. So those I think are like $120 or $110 a piece. That is the I think it's like $300, and then the inverter is like another $300. So some of this stuff can get really pricey, but I think that's pretty reasonable. The battery, I think, is what's expensive. I think that one's like $600 or something. But those keep coming down all the time, and there's other brands that people are having really good success with that are like half the price. So you can do a dual battery setup really easy. And yeah, let's apologize for going on that rant, but let's get into this build. All right, so I'm going to show you. There was a bolt holding this lumen here through here that goes through the body that is probably ground. I'll clean this up a little bit so that way it gets a proper ground, because sometimes when you have paint or rust, it won't ground correctly. But we're going to use this plate, we're going to mount it there, and then we're going to set the switch pod on top, and then we're going to make this little ground connector. So this is going to sit in here, and then this is going to feed into the negative right here, and the negative right there, and then that's gonna ground this whole system. So you see, I don't need to run a whole wire straight to the battery, because this is a common ground. Hopefully that's not rusted, and hopefully the body is grounded, but most likely it is. So we'll test that out. And to make this little connector, this actually, I believe, forget what gauge wire this is, but it's thick for that. Might have it on, no, I'm just trying to use a wire that I had lying around. But these kits, they sell online on Amazon, all sorts of different connectors, but I'm basically like crimping it and then heat shrinking it. So let me show you that. Hey guys, so this right here is tied into the ignition. So I'll show you. I had previously had this already in here, so I had this wire hanging here. But basically, if you take this here and just tie it in straight to here, it's constantly on. So the dash, the little switches are constantly going to have power to them, and they'll constantly be on. So the danger with that is it's drawing power to from your vehicle. Very little, but it is drawing power. The way you want to do it is do it to the ignition. So this wire, this hot wire here, I have pigtailed. These are ignition switches. So these get tied into the ignition, and they have different fuses. And I'll just show you how I have mine on this one. I also have it on the Gladiator, but basically you go into your fuses. Let's see this. I got the missing key. You go into the fuses, and you see here. So right here, I'm tapped into a fuse that only comes on with the accessory. And so when I turn the ignition on, it gives power to that. So my my switch pod won't be on constantly. That's how I want it set up. On the back, on the Gladiator, it's tapped in where it's constantly on. And because it's connected to the lithium battery, and the lithium battery is isolated from the starting battery, so I don't have that problem. So that's why that's connected like that. So let's continue this. Hopefully my ground works out, and then we just have to feed this inside the cab some way. I've never tried to use these all-in-one fuses, this with the heat shrink. Let's give it a shot. I'm gonna cut the end of this a little bit, and then let me get my torch. So I don't know if it could focus, but there it is. And supposedly that's supposed to heat shrink it together and solder. Yeah, I guess, yeah, the solder did break and I see it entangled. So we'll see how that does. So that ground worked out. The ignition's on the vehicle. I have the key turned, and you see only when the ignition's on does this turn on. So that's exactly how I wanted it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish doing this, run this wire so this sits in the cab, and then I'll have to start putting in all my accessories to here, so that way I can press these buttons and switch them on. So this part was pretty simple. I thought it was going to be harder, but just to show you, so we have it fused. I didn't have any of this gauge, a red wire, so I use this black one, and I put red on the end. I had to change the terminal. I'll just show you real quick. I had to change it, cut it off because it wouldn't it wouldn't go work with that bolt. So, but you can see how thick this is. So anyway, I just used this kit and crimped a different one and just shrink wrapped it so that way it'll stay. But I'll show you. I think the Lord intended me to do this a second time, because the first time I did it some crazy way, trying to get it in through the side, like get my hand all caught up. But I think it was just because the Gladiator, I saw had a pass through. Like there's a pass through right there, and it goes right into the cab, and then I just fed it up this way, and now it's just gonna sit perfectly in here. So I'm gonna sit it there perfectly, but I'm just gonna start working on wiring up all the lights, which are already wired up. I just have to connect everything. So we'll do that, and then I'll do the solar panel. The solar panel is not going to be like dual battery where I have that maintainer. It's basically going to be the solar. It's going to be the solar panel, and then I'm going to have a charger. Let me show you what it looks like. I'm going to have this charger here. This solar charger. So that Renogy system basically that I have here is two things. It's the DC to DC charger from your alternator, and it's also this MPPT charger like this. So that's more expensive. This is all just Harbor Freight stuff. So, but I'll link it in case you guys are interested. All right, so I got everything wired up here. I forgot to do this one wire for the KC lights, so Like I was telling you, instead of running a ground all the way here, I just ran into the battery because it was closest to the battery. So all these lights here are on. My only issue is the one rear rock light is not turning on, but I think it's more having to do with the light itself because it does have power. If I turn all these on, you can see we've got the Casey lights, the rock lights, and now we're gonna do is the solar section. So let me see how I figure that out. But the wire, this I got to zip tie and put the cover back on, and I think it's somewhat, this is all gonna get zip tied together somewhat clean. Alright guys, so check this out. I'm about to put gas in this disco, but I just want to show you. So here is the Casey lights, and then here is the Amazon amber lights that are up top, 4 of them. So, and then I have rock lights, so you can kind of see on the side, but not really. So yeah, I'm pumped that I got all this situated. When I go put gas, I'll show you how I did the solar. Alright, so let's see. I put the key in the ignition. That's wired into the ignition. And then we'll turn on these 3 switches that I have, which is that. And let's just take a look at it. We got these like little rock lights there. And then you have these Casey lights, and then these Amazon lights, and I think it makes the truck look super dope. So it worked out. And then I'll show you the solar real quick. So this battery is dead, but basically this is the solar that's sitting up there, and then this is gonna charge this, and then I have to get an inverter so I can use this 100 amp hour lithium battery.
A rat, but I know where the cheese at. You'll never get a trophy cause they all here where we at. You better believe that. When it's all said and done, I'll still be here standing. Never took a loss and it ain't something that I'm planning. I dare you to say something. My focus is A1. Every dog has its day, it's been mine since day one. This is real grinding, I'm still climbing. While you still trying, I'm still shining. It's real blinding, and I'm getting hotter too. Talking top 2, I'm not a 2. You let the pressure bother you and I do what I gotta do. Let's go hard. Coming close to me, flow is on atomic. I'm starting fires through